You're welcome back to Election Brief, and Election Brief is brought to you by Petrosol. Now, last month, the Ghana Police Service identified areas where violence is likely to erupt during the presidential and parliamentary polls. A total of 4,098 flashpoints were identified, with the Ashanti region leading with the most constituencies prone to violence. At a media briefing on November 4, the Inspector General of Police, James Opombueno, announced that what he says gives rise for the police to update the electoral flashpoints. Before we hear from the IGP, I have head of our security desk, Gifty Ando-Apia, who is joining me in the studio. Gifty, hi, good to see you again, as always. So let's go through the areas, the flashpoints. First of all, before you go through the areas, this is an addition to what we were told earlier, right? Okay.
So the explanation I'm getting from the police service is that this is a figure that they're constantly reviewing based on what information they pick up from the ground. Right. They tell us that they have regional representatives who are supposed to feed the police, the national headquarters, with this information. So as and when they have that information, they put it out there. What we ought to know also is that the previous work that was put out, which was the 4,098, was something they did together with the Arms Commission. And so you can have perhaps some changes in that detail, depending as well on the work that was done at the time and the work that has been done right now. So right now, what we're working with is 6,178 as announced by the IGP, and we're told that it will be reviewed as they go along. So if we're to go through the details, Araba, it's quite a lot of information. I will try and put some on the screen, some of the information that the police has provided us, we'll put them on the screen. But you rightly said, you have three regions, I think four, that are tops. Ashanti region is number one, Central region comes next, Northern region comes next, and then there's Greater Accra region. There's an interesting bit about the Northern region because we're broken down that particular region. We have two different regions out of that. So essentially you have three regions in the Northern region alone. Let me start with the Ashanti region. We have 47 based on the 4,000, the previous 4,000. Let me address this particular one. These are the latest figures. So this is a breakdown of the 6,178 that we have. So when you look at it, take Accra.
Accra has 500 alone,
and you'll find this interesting because Accra on the previous list had 264. Accra in the previous
list. Huge jump from 264 to 500.
The difference there is 236.
Wow.
236. So this is Accra 500 now, but the previous figure was 264.
And this isn't within a space of how many months?
It's possible that they had done the work previously, but had not been updated before that press conference that gave us the 4,000 figure. It is possible. So it's possible. We need to get the police to give us the specific period within which they did it, but it's possible the work had been done, it just had not been updated at the time. Now you look at Tema. I don't have the other details for Tema, but Tema, we're looking at 190 and 89. The Central region has 906. Now let me go back to the previous list that we had. Central region had 906. The previous figure was 537. 537. So we have a difference of 369. That is for the Central region. If you look at Eastern region, we're looking at 891. Water region 275. Oti 261. Western 323. The Western North 292. Ashanti region, which is topping the chart, is at 975. And so if we look at Ashanti region's 975, the previous figure was 635. So there's a difference of 340 additional hotspots. Now we look at Bono, 179. Bono is 118. Ahafo 50. Savannah 129. Northern region 393, which is part of those at the top. 399. The previous figure was 287. So the difference there is 106 additional hotspots. Upper East 345, Upper West 292, Northeast 60. So we focused our attention on the top three. I think four, the top four. So we have Ashanti, Central region, Northern region, and Greater Accra region, which is where I have the differences in the figures. Now, I don't know if we have some more time, so I can take you through the districts. If you take the Ashanti region, we have 47 districts. That's what gave us the previous, and this is the previous figure. The previous figure, that's where we had details of. So Ashanti region, 47 districts. Central region, 23 districts. Northern region, 18 districts. Greater Accra region, 34 districts. And they all have the figures breakdown. I don't want to bore our viewers with all these specifics.
Right.
But you can go on My Joy Online. We have the details published there. And that detail is, that includes the details of the previous 4,000 figure. We're yet to have the full details of the 6,000 figure. Now, Araba, if you look at these particular regions, and you want to take the top 3 districts that are considered, I don't want to say most violent, but that are considered the hotspots. Exactly. You are looking at Ashanti region alone, Offenso North. Offenso North is key. Asawase. Exactly.
That's a well-known hotspot.
Exactly. So we have Offenso. I'm just addressing the top 3 of the top 4 districts. So the first Ashanti, you have 3 districts: Offenso North, Asawase, and Efiduase Asokore. Those are the top 3. If you come to the central region, the top 3, Ewutu Senya East. Then you have
that is Mavis Howard constituency
area. Then and in just Ewutu Senya, so mind you, these are the districts. Okay, so it's a bigger area. So if you take Ewutu Senya East, for example, there were 72 constituencies identified as hotspots. Okay, it's a lot of figures, I must say.
It is,
but it gives, just to give you an idea of the magnitude of the violence-prone areas we are dealing with. Then if you take Gomwa West, we have 61. Then Heman Lower Denchra. So these are the top 3 for central region.
So Ewutu Senya East,
Gomwa West, Heman Lower Denchra, the top 3
for the central region.
Exactly. Now let's look at the northern region. You have Yendi, and of course we heard a lot about Yendi during the during the parliamentary primaries as well. 55 there. Tamale Central, 50, and then Gushewu. That's 40. And if you take northern region, I was talking about the dynamics there. The northern region, if you want to look at it as a whole, assuming we didn't have different regions, you want to add Savannah, you want to add northeast, so the figures could go up. Just because there are different regions now, you could say that the figures are a bit lower, which is how you can explain how the northern region, comes beneath, for example, Ashanti region. Ashanti region
so it could have been higher had they not been demarcated.
Based on, I mean, that's just a little bit of analysis there. Let's finally end with Accra, Ayawaso Central. And of course, this is their district. So I'm sure Ayawaso, and I've not done that bit of the study to find out whether Ayawaso West Wuogon is within Ayawaso Central. But if you take the district, Ayawaso Central has 50 hotspots as of the previous 4,000.
No surprise
Odododio comes
no surprise there at all.
I know. But then even if you look at Odododio, it has 50 as well. So it's not even in any, they're on the same level.
Scale,
And then Ablekuma West, 30. Ablekuma West, I think that's the communication minister's area.
That's Lowis's area.
Exactly. And we know what has happened there previously as well, what's been happening there as well. So these are, to give you an idea of the magnitude of potential to violence, electoral violence.
I'm sure a lot of people are concerned about, the increasing numbers of hotspots that the police are identifying. What accounts for the increase, though? Did the police say?
So yesterday we had the IGP respond to this, but it wasn't as detailed. The IGP pinched it on the police's own criteria, which he says is based on the, if you like, what the police is describing as volatility of crime or the crime rate in the area. But what we can put together, I mean, if we can do some very informed analysis. You can look at the history of electoral violence in the particular area, how those particular violence have been dealt with or handled by security agencies. So then the way they deal with it give people the ability or the impression that they can act with impunity.
So they're emboldened.
They're emboldened, exactly. So that's one group of the people. The other group,
what comes to mind, obviously, is the Ewutu Senya East area where Mavis Howard Kumson, was indicted for,
well, she herself admitted to firing
warning shots.
We haven't had.
Of course, the police says it's investigating. People were arrested, but I'm sure that they have been released. I'm not sure whether they're still in custody.
We were told yesterday that some people have been put before court. Again, there's always the issue about the detail, because the devil is always in the detail. And that's something that we push for from the police. So just to finish up the point I'm making so it doesn't get mixed up. So you're looking at the history of electoral violence in that particular area. You're looking at how the cases have been handled, which then feeds impunity or the feeling of threat. So people feel we're under threat, so we need to defend ourselves. So you have two groups: those who feel that they can act with impunity, and those who feel that we have to defend ourselves because we are threatened. And then you can look at the strength of the parties, the political parties in the particular area. So if you take Ashanti region, for example, you could say it's a stronghold for the governing NPP. But it's also a place where the big opposition party is looking to make political gains. So you have some frictions going on there. If you take a place like the Volta region, which is the opposition stronghold, and you see a governing NPP that wants to make inroads, political inroads there, you can have that friction coming up as well. And then you can look at the strength of the security services in that particular area. I mean, these are informed analysis that we can make from what has happened in the past. But here is the IGP's explanation of the criteria upon which they decide on which place is a hotspot.
You can listen to him.
We have identified 6,178 flashpoints nationwide. The flashpoints were decided based on a number of factors, such as incidents recorded in previous elections, this year's voters registration exercise, and crime rates and other factors relating to those centers. As a result, our approach in these areas will be slightly different from other areas. Saturated patrols and standby forces may be visible to prevent any mishap. Hotspots and strategies for handling them will be reviewed based on emerging trends. You know, these hotspots were not just coined here in the police headquarters. We did that. Remember that we have regional and district security task forces. So those hotspots have been selected in connection or in collaboration with these task forces. So, for instance, if the Accra region is dealing with the polling station, let's say at the regional headquarters, definitely they know that there will be traffic there. It's different from where the polling station is in my village, Abu Abu, where the total population of vehicles will not be 10. So definitely all those factors will be taken into account before the deployment is done. So definitely, yes, traffic will be taken into account.
All right, so that's the IGP there speaking to the issue of hotspots and the additional hotspots that they've identified. But Gifty, the issue of ammunition seized at the Tema port a while ago also came up. What has the IGP been saying? Have they established the identity of the person who imported it into the country? Okay,
so first of all, this press conference was supposed to address us on security plans for the election. So we got the chance to ask the further questions. And when we did that, the IGP called in the CID, the Director General of the CID, who is handling the case, to give us the details. They didn't give us details as to who is behind it or who are the people they've arrested. But they told us that out of the 6 people they arrested, they're only holding on to 1 person. What it then means from any security perspective is that they could not find enough evidence to pin the 5 others to this particular crime. But of course, they haven't given us any detail. They're also telling us that's the guns or the arms that they had seized turns out to be a different thing. They're telling us it's something called gas guns.
Gas guns?
Gas guns.
And what are gas guns?
I know it. We'll have to look up what it is. But then I couldn't also engage him because, like I said, it was a bigger press conference and we were addressing other issues.
But he spoke briefly to that.
He did.
We can listen to him.
The 436 pistols that were intercepted at Tema Port, investigation is ongoing. Initially, 6 persons were arrested, but as at now, we are holding on to 1 person. We have examined the weapons, and they are gas pistols. Gas pistols.
Well, so that's head of the police CID there. Thank you so much, Gifty, for that update. And we'll be delving more into this on Pulse, which comes up at 3 p.m. Be sure to stay tuned in.